All right, welcome to the January 15th, 2026 Whitman Economic Development Committee meeting. This meeting is being recorded for WHCA to post on YouTube in the future. Do a quick roll call. Justin Evans, present. Brittany Cavallo is not here. Heidi Hosmer is not here.
John Galvin.
John Galvin's here.
Steve Egan.
Steve Egan.
Richard Bloss.
Richard Bloss, and Adam Somerville is not here yet.
Makes it easier when you say your name for the
Yeah, I should do it that way. That makes it a lot easier.
It made a big difference.
Yeah. So we do have 4 of our 7 members, so we have a quorum. Do we want to approve the minutes or hold them since we do only barely have a quorum? I don't know if anyone have a problem with them, or
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the December 11th, 2025 meeting.
okay.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. We don't have any guests today. I did share some template bylaws from the Mass. We'll talk about solar and battery pilots. That was on the agenda. Shared some template bylaws from the Mass Department of Energy Resources. Funny enough, Hanson was reviewing these same bylaws at their select board meeting on Tuesday. So Hanson has existing solar and battery bylaws. Their battery bylaw was passed before there was any template, so that mostly is just them getting up to speed on that. We currently have nothing. So my understanding is that if a solar or battery developer came to Whitman, we would look at the existing bylaws. There is a location for, and I think it's energy R&D or something that vaguely almost relates to it, but it's not explicitly called out for solar or battery, and then we don't have any of the extra protections that would be in these bylaws. So it's the reason I think it's probably worth considering. For the Economic Development Committee purposes, this would potentially be a signal to solar and battery developers that Whitman is prepared for this kind of infrastructure here, and on what potential revenue you can bring to town. I think I mentioned this at one of the first meetings, but most of these projects, it would be a substantial amount of personal property taxes if they did not negotiate pilots. So almost 100% of them negotiate pilots, which spreads that out over 20 years rather than depreciating really quickly. And by doing that on the town side, it doesn't shift to the tax rolls. So you don't immediately jack up personal property and then move that through 2.5 onto the residents.
Going through this, I didn't go through detail through the bylaws, but I did go through the presentation.
Yeah.
Explain to me a little bit, if somebody's putting in a BESS, the storage systems, is there also a solar field that goes along with that? Generally, or is that just where are they getting power from to store?
So not 100% of the time, probably half the time, if that. They are pulling from the grid during overnight and selling it back during peak time. So it's rather than, this is an energy systems engineer background. So usually you'd fire up peaker plants during peak energy time. Instead, you can just run your baseload power and charge batteries in the off-peak times and dispatch them to the grid during peak times. So it's a way of shifting the load around the day, and it's a lot cheaper for National Grid, Eversource, whoever, to pay some bank of batteries for the power than for them to pay for a new plant at peak demand times, or for ISO New England to construct and license with a new supplier.
So I spoke with Chief Clancy last week, and he had actually done a lot of research on this before, because apparently that Auburn Street one was something that looked promising, and then for some reason it didn't go on. I mean, he's basically all for it. He named like 3 different things that he would be able to benefit from it from a fire standpoint.
Yeah.
And he mentioned the Auburn Street property. Where exactly was that on Auburn Street? All the way down the end, or?
So it's a property that abuts the National Grid facility at the end.
How close was that to happening, and what happened?
They had 2 meetings with us. They had some kind of an agreement with the landowner to sell it to them. They didn't actually, I don't know if they actually purchased the property, but they must have been negotiating with a couple of towns and found something better.
Right.
And I think in the early conversations we said that Auburnville might give them challenges in the public hearings, and Sportsman's Trail might. Like the location of where the batteries would have been pretty close to Sportsman's Trail. But it's zoned industrial. It would have been zoning wise, it's the appropriate part of
judging
town.
by what happened in Duxbury, it wouldn't have gone very far.
And that's the other,
So I mean, the other property that Chief Clancy mentioned was behind the DPW. He thought would be a good location for it.
That's one that I've talked to Bruce Martin about. So that would be town-owned property. It would be us putting out an RFP, and that would probably be a combined solar battery, probably smaller battery.
Yeah.
But
Now, does it need to be closer to the main power lines?
for a this is sort of two answers to that. If you're doing a huge battery development that draws a lot of power, you want to be close enough to it that you can pull off not necessarily the high tension, but not construct
Distribution
additional.
lines,
But if you're doing like a quarter acre size battery development, it just needs to fit into a part of the grid that is not going to screw up the neighbors.
Yeah.
So like the distribution line can handle it. But if it's a large installation, it's going to want to be near a substation. So either, we've got the one just over the Abington line on 58, and we've got the one on the, in Whitman, but on the Brockton line. So we're actually well positioned for something like this.
Yeah.
You said we got them. You talking about the power lines? Or you talking about already battery facilities?
So electric distribution substations.
Substation,
Yeah.
Is there any EMF issues if you're in a butter?
That I don't know.
Is there any what issues?
EMF,
I've not heard.
electromagnetic frequencies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't heard of any, but that's a good question.
You don't want to live right underneath the big power line.
Right.
I mean, that was the discussions, the issues that the residents in Duxbury had was the noise factor, saying that it was, and then also the concern of the fire issue.
See, I read that the battery storage really didn't create a lot of noise, but maybe there's different types of them. I don't know.
It's like commercial cooling equipment on top of a
cooling
tractor
and
trailer, so
water.
it hums.
Yeah.
And
Which is
depending
why
on,
you would think putting them near the power stations, which people already,
Yeah.
those are already there.
yeah,
You're not putting in creating a nuisance somewhere else, I guess, either. But I don't know. I was just wondering, from an infrastructure point of view, how close it needs to be to certain types of lines, and And what kind of money can the town make out of that?
so the developer that was looking on Auburn Street, this is why we kind of started looking at it a year ago. We were looking at a pilot agreement of about $1 million a year, $1.5 million
Nice. For 20 years.
for 20 years, and that was what they offered up. So I don't know if we could negotiate from there.
So pilot program, you're basically revenue sharing?
No, so it's a payment in lieu of taxes. So rather than taxing them personal property up front, we agree to not tax them, but we then sign a
Right.
separate agreement.
But would the taxes ever actually be $1 million a year?
Those first couple of years they would be, because it's like a $200 million.
To put those battery stations?
Yeah,
in?
it's a very large investment they're putting into that.
So it's not the real estate, it's the personal property.
It's the personal property. Yeah, the real estate's.
It's the same issue we had when Eversource or National Grid put all the stuff up there.
Exactly.
They hit us. We whacked us. In
Yeah.
what was I 2016 or
16-ish, yeah.
15, and we got this huge spike in personal property, and then it was going to go away in 5 years because they were vehicles, whatever the equipment was.
I think it was electric. It was like part of their distribution system. Yeah.
And which was not handled well by us.
Yeah, I do think that the stuff in like Duxbury and Pembroke right now are on a smaller scale than that. They're in the a couple $100,000 a year pilot agreements, still substantial.
Yeah.
And 20 years.
How big was this battery that they were talking about up here?
Let's see if I can find it. It was huge.
Oh, it's huge.
It was huge. We would have got some interesting public comments at the hearings. Let's find that.
Well, right now, citizens in town, they understand, at least I think they understand the financial situation the town and the schools are in, just like almost every town in Massachusetts, except for Boston, because they suck the money out of everywhere. So I think that people in town would be, once they see the numbers, and as long as the dangers are dispelled properly, I think people will be for it.
I think, and I mentioned this too.
Especially if you position it right into the required screening and things that, so the people who are directly abutting it on, to put out.
Yeah.
But I think the majority of the town who aren't going to be affected by the location of it would be in favor of that kind
Put
of
it in an industrial area, don't put it in a residential area. And don't build any houses
So
in
that
the
goes back to what he says.
Don't build any houses in the industrial area.
Yeah.
Right.
But that goes back to what he said earlier, is that the town really needs solar bylaws.
Yeah, so we have currently no solar and battery bylaws. We've got like an energy R&D zone, and I think it's in either the highway business or the industrial, probably where we would cite this stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't have a. I have I mean, I can show you this. I mean, this was the plot. Looks like it is 5 megawatt hours, 120 batteries. Yeah, you guys come on over here. So this was the proposal. If you've got
Where's Auburn Street?
Auburnville is here. Sportsman's Trail is here. So there'd be an access road off Sport.
So-
Again, this is not happening
Is there
anymore.
a road
but
here? So
This
Auburn?
is Auburn Street.
That's Auburn Street.
I
Okay,
believe,
that's what
yeah.
I was thinking.
Actually, this is the high tension lines. This is Auburn Street.
Yeah.
So this was the proposal. It's as far as setting it near the substation, like right about here.
Where's Auburnville?
Auburnville's right here.
Okay.
So this is the existing substation?
No, this was the proposed battery
Oh,
installation.
okay.
So I mean, this is how large it. I mean, if
And
this
this is all in Whitman, it's not in Brockton?
this
at
is all in
I
Whitman.
think that's all owned by Jay's Pool.
Yeah.
JJ Pools. Yeah.
So they were negotiating with him to
Yeah.
get the land,
Well,
and a lot of it's wet. And
There's a lot of
what
wetlands.
they would
There's a
have
river
to-
that runs through there.
But-
Yeah, which
Heat-
could have been what.
Heat bought a lot of land, didn't they? When they moved in there?
I'm not sure.
Who did?
Is it Heat? The paver.
Heap has a smaller piece. But all that backland is on. This was all owned by Jay's, and this is all Al Boyer's piece. He's got the other big piece between. I know he's working on potentially something residential in that piece, but Heap has a smaller, like industrial piece up in there. And the power station is like right here.
It's like right there.
Yeah.
Is it a power station in Brockton or Whitman or both?
I think it splits
both.
the line, yeah.
But okay.
And then it actually comes all the way up. Part of it comes up in behind, on Temple Street there. Right?
Yeah.
Right behind the dentist office.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what we were looking at for million plus on a pilot. So it does not take a lot of space, but if you can imagine, each of these is like a storage container, shipping container with, full of batteries. So you'd want to site it in a place that if it burns, you let it burn.
Right. Well, your wetlands there, so it's not.
Part of that's not the old Girl Scout land, is it?
No. That side.
Because it was that it used to separate Auburnville from
You're right.
these other
I don't
neighborhoods.
know.
There was a piece that was owned by the Girl Scouts that I think got put up for sale by the town or something. I forget.
know.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
yeah, I think this small piece here, I think, is what you'd be
So
looking at
how
on a
do we,
smaller site.
How do we go forth in starting the discussions about getting bylaws created?
So I think
There is a bylaw committee, right?
so. There's a bylaw study committee. Amending our zoning bylaws takes a public hearing by the planning board. That takes posting in a newspaper at least 14 days before and 7 days before the hearing. And we're going through this now for the 40R proposal. What exactly is the timeline, and when is our drop dead date to hit Springtown meeting? I think the step here would be send it to the select board to refer it to the bylaw study committee and potentially the planning board simultaneously.
Yeah.
If we're just taking the template bylaws.
There's a lot of companies looking, not necessarily the battery, but the solar.
Yeah.
And other towns who haven't had it have gotten whacked with these giant fields that they have no real restrictions on.
Yeah, and there's a couple of state exemptions around solar where because it's clean energy, you can site it in a lot more locations.
Yeah.
Battery is kind of splitting that difference. I think that's what Duxbury is running into now. Is that if you don't restrict it proactively, there's not a lot of restrictions on it.
Yeah.
So do we start with these two sample? So I also saw in that program that there was, or in that presentation, that there was still stuff to come out in February of this year.
And I actually spoke to a battery developer a little while ago on what do you look for in a town? What would, if a town were trying to draw this kind of investment in, what would they say? And they would say, do you have any bylaws?
Right.
And then if you have town-owned land RFPs, if there's whatever, not town-owned land, are any of those people interested in hosting this, leasing the land to somebody or whatever? Does the town have a template pilot agreement existing? It's basically how quickly can they move with the things they were looking
But
at.
there's two ways to look at that too.
Yeah.
On the other hand, towns that have done their homework and have instituted the zoning, some developers, they don't want to touch that because the town's already protected itself.
Right.
Versus a town that has no protections and I can do whatever I want based on state law and things like that. So while we might think that it's would be favorable to developers or to the battery companies, it might actually be somebody, okay, no, they're already, it's to keep us out rather
Right, they've
than
already thrown up roadblocks.
They've already thrown exactly. They've already thrown up the roadblocks.
I mean, I obviously not reading those two bylaws that the samples are, I don't know. It would seem to me that would be bylaws set up to draw those things because based on the presentation.
They're fairly promotional, yeah. It's
So, I mean, I didn't read the bylaws, and even if I did, I probably wouldn't understand half
Same
of it.
thing with me. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but I am looking at this DPW property, and to me, depending upon what's built, what's usable back there, that's a double whammy for us. We could lease the property and
Right.
also get the pilot, or sell the property and get the pilot. I don't
And
know.
I did ask them about that property, just curiosity. We have to issue an RFP and can't, negotiate anything with people off that. But they said, landfills, capped landfills have adders if you put solar on them, and rooftops have adders if you have solar on them. And so new DPW building and a capped landfill next to a baseball field that could potentially host some batteries is like you've got everything
in
you'd look
in
for.
The baseball field, Chief said behind the DPW.
I think behind the
know.
DPW, you need some flat land. I don't know.
Yeah.
Behind where the cap landfill is,
Yeah.
I think would be more solar.
That'd be great for solar.
Right.
Could we put solar on top of the new DPW?
When I asked them early in the planning process before we built it, before it passed town meeting, they said it would be designed solar ready. So I haven't followed up since. But
To me,
Well,
that's,
that's the way the middle
that's
school supposedly
right,
is,
it's
too.
designed solar ready. So
You're actually required now to build everything.
I think so. Yeah.
Like we have to put pipes from the roof to a designated area in the building.
We're over in Hanson.
Whitman
Even
Center, Hanson,
Yeah.
just so that if we plan on
They're
probably
not-
adding on some of these buildings at some point, but right now the incentives aren't there.
No.
Yeah.
And
the interest rates
probably
are
till the
higher than-
administration
yeah.
changes, that's probably not going to be there. But at some point, there's going to be a big push on solar when the money's back again.
Yeah.
But the DPW is a big roof.
Yeah.
That's a big field next to it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to see town recreational land reused or.
But that field he's talking about,
The
it's used
community
for the
garden
garden
now.
and stuff.
Right.
But
It used to be the
still-
softball field.
Yeah.
Right. But I don't see it's going to be used as a softball field again. I mean,
No.
to be honest,
Yeah.
when my kids played there, it was full of glass from the
Yeah.
dump.
Yeah, it
You
was,
were constantly picking glass up out of that space.
it had the
We
lights
used to have
though.
our football practices over
I
there.
think that the public garden is well received, though. So
Yeah.
I think that if you were to do something there, you would need to find a place to relocate that.
You'd have to
public
relocate the garden.
for people,
Or have a clear. I mean, I don't think you'd want the garden next to.
Well, I
how many
don't know that
boxes.
you'd. I mean, I don't know that you'd want to put batteries on that field, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But
just,
to me, it's like that's back to what he said earlier. You have the meadow behind you. You have the dump, the DPW, Hobart's
Right.
Pond, the cemetery field. No one's going to care about humming there.
Yeah.
So to me, that's like, and when you build the bylaws, there needs to be proper setbacks so that, you're not putting it 50 feet off someone's lot line and they're gonna have the humming. So I guess that someone knows how far does the humming noise go. If it's 100 feet, 200 feet, well, then that's how far they need to be off of,
Yeah.
Sure, it's
off
in
of
that.
a residential property.
Yeah, I think it
There
was.
was recommendations in that.
And that's based on, on what the topography is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You set it up high on top of a landfill, it's going to
Yeah.
carry a little further.
Because a lot of towns, like East Bridgewater, for instance, because my brother keeps his trucks under them, but they put them next to Club X. They put 'em-
Oh, yeah.
So that's a pretty good sized solar array. But you can't. It was too big based on the town bylaw to put it on the ground. So
So they had to do another
that's considered a building. So
Who
so you,
to the
owns
canopy.
Right.
it's a company that owns. They own all over the place, but they build them, put them on these roof structures because they can do unlimited size.
Oh,
It's
interesting.
because it's considered on a building,
Yeah.
where most towns have ground regulations. They don't have roof regulations, so you can pretty much put them however you want on the roof. So that company goes around and just builds these
Yeah.
basically giant carports. And if they can rent out the space below it, great. And if they have hundreds of them around that they don't even rent, nobody wants the space, but they make their money on the solar. But they're doing it. on the roof.
Pickleball.
Yeah, exactly. But there's plenty of uses for them.
And with the heat from the battery storage, you could heat it in the wintertime.
Yeah.
But they can do much bigger spaces by doing it that way. Bigger.
So in this presentation, there's setbacks for the solar. I haven't. What page is that? Page 15.
Yeah.
Best.
Side yard 20-foot minimum, 50 feet if abutting a residential district, 25 in the rear. That's a little tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it probably should be structured that if you're abutting in commercial properties, one setback. If you're abutting residential, would be a different setback. And
I think that makes sense.
yeah.
Best model bylaw does not alter setbacks from setbacks established for the zoning district where it is located. Additionally, the model bylaw requires a minimum distance of 10 feet between best equipment and combustible materials per the NFPA 855 standard. So there really isn't anything particular other than what our town bylaw would be for setbacks.
And
There is stuff for like fencing and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I do think the battery bylaw in particular, this is the first draft they've released, and yeah, there is an update coming. I think.
Right, that's why I think in February.
In
or something
February.
I said, right.
Because I think they've now received comments on this. So
So, I mean, it would probably take us a while to get it through. I mean, there's no way we'd get it at this town meeting, but
I don't
maybe
think so
next
either,
town, or
but-
if we have a fall or
Well, yeah.
something
I
along
don't
that.
know
next
how. I don't know if there's going to be a dead rush, like I said, with the other stuff. The incentives aren't there, so I'm not sure
You're
how
right.
much incentives are there for the solar arrays or the batteries at this point. If
But just good to get this
Yeah.
this in.
I think you need to get it in process.
Well,
Yeah.
the battery, judging by what Justin said earlier, that you're basically buying it at night and selling it during the day. I don't know what changes the business model would look like, how that would change much other than
except that there was until January 1st, I believe there was still a 30% federal tax credit on it. So that's gone.
that's gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
And I did read an article about grant money that's out there in addition to the federal credit that these guys can get for doing these They're pushing the bat. They want to see more.
Yeah.
Someone must have a study of how mumuch battery storage we need in Massachusetts. I don't know, but it seems like they need a lot.
Yeah.
We're running into it already. That because everything we're doing is all electric now.
Yeah.
And for us to meet the energy code and get a building permit, it's almost impossible to have gas fixtures and things in the house. But we're starting to run into power issues. The guy who is doing across from Jubit's,
That's some Jupiter.
Dan Marriage,
Old school,
Yeah.
Family Dollar.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
They had to bring an additional line in from Temple Street because there wasn't enough. Because he called me because I did the building across the street,
Right.
and he said, "Did you have enough power?" And I said, "Yeah," but there wasn't. That my building was done under the code when you didn't have to be all electric. my Hanson buildings are all electric, but Whitman wasn't. His is all electric over there, and there wasn't enough power on Washington Street, so he then had to pay to bring another line in. And almost, we're waiting for, we just started our Harvard Street retirement community up there. And we're waiting on information from National Grid because they're already saying the same thing. We're trying to see if we need to bring in more power from a different direction.
So, do these buildings not have a backup heat source?
No. Well, some people will put in a backup heat source for not for power outages, but for cold temperatures.
Right, okay. But
Because the heat pumps, the heat pumps we install are Mitsubishi Hyperheats. Were probably the best that you can get out there, but they're rated down to like minus 16 degrees.
Right.
So you don't need a backup.
no, I mean, what if the power goes out for a week?
You need a generator.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so do you have a generator on either of your big properties?
I have generators that will do parts of the building, common area heats. It won't do everyone's units, but it'll do.
But everyone has sprinklers, though, right?
Correct.
So they could freeze, and the sprinklers could.
Yeah, we
fail.
would if you had an extent like our unit, the generators we put in those buildings that runs like 4 heating units, one on each level, one in a common area lobby. That would be enough to keep the building warm enough, but it's not going to do everyone's individual units to whatever comfort zone.
It's going to keep it from freezing.
Yeah. But we would have to bring in backup generators if that was like an extended period of time. But we're looking like one option at the retirement community is going to be if people want a generator that would be run off of a propane tank.
Propane,
There's no
yeah.
gas,
So you're not allowed to run gas. Is there gas on Harvard Street?
There's no gas on Harvard
Okay.
Street now. You couldn't run the gas line in there if you wanted to run for other uses, but most of the time guys wouldn't because the gas company's going to charge you so much to bring it in for very little use. So it would just make more sense to put propane in.
And state law now, you have to heat with electricity. You're prohibited from heating with gas, correct?
It makes it very difficult. And it's town by town. Some towns aren't pushing as hard as others, and kind of because I still see some guys doing some gas units. But the energy guys that we use say that they're not sure how they're actually getting passed. We have like an overall building rating that we have to get on the HERS, which used to be at 55. Now we're down to 45, and even to get to that, and when you're doing that, that takes into account your windows, your energy,
Right.
your insulation, your mechanicals, and we even now are using, starting on Harvard Street, a special concrete, which is a global warming concrete. It dries differently, it doesn't emit as much gas, and we get 3 points towards the energy rating to try and help offset some of the reductions,
Now, are you making those lead, green, or anything like that?
We haven't. I mean, we're probably pretty close to what is
Like
required.
a silver or
Anyway, I mean, we have
gold?
air recovery units. We have high efficiency. We have the best heat pumps that you can really get. We have a hybrid hot water heat pumps. But the hoops you have to jump through to make it energy rated is cost you more than what the money you get back.
Yeah,
And I personally don't see that. I very rarely have anyone ask me that. We tell them the features that we have.
It was very popular 5 or
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Yeah. And I can get more money by doing it, but not. I'm spending more money than I'm actually getting to do it.
Got it.
So do we want to make a motion here to move forward bylaws for solar and for battery energy storage systems? Or did I just make one?
I think that makes sense. Would the motion be to refer to the select board to direct it to the right locations and say these are the models? Start there.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
So that
Okay.
I made that motion.
I'll
I
second.
guess. Good.
All right. Any other discussion? I guess the only question I would have is, assuming we're not going to make this town meeting because it will
Right.
take several steps and amendments along the way, and probably an update in a month to the battery one.
Well, I mean, we're been pretty good the last couple of years on having a special town meeting. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, you
if
never
we have
know.
to have another one
Yeah.
next fall.
And it may end up the annual next year even, but
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah, but this-
I
yeah.
think it's going to take some time to
But
work
even to
through
have it in process, I think would be a good.
Yeah, the planning board's going to need it. The bylaw study committee's going to need it.
It's going to take time to get to the selectmen, time for the selectmen to get it to the study committee, and then
So
time
how-
to get it to the planning board.
So do we want to wait until that next revision comes out on these?
I think we can just include that in the motion and say we're referring these on
Yeah,
Well, we have.
when the bylaw study committee takes it up.
Yeah,
They're
I'm
not
just
gonna
saying.
use the latest.
How do we get the? I mean, are we gonna actually come up with the bylaws written, or do we let the bylaw study committee?
I think the bylaw studies committee is going to review this and come
Yeah.
up with their own bylaw.
At least in the marijuana bylaw, which is the most complicated one we've done recently, the bylaw study committee did a lot of work on that.
Okay. All right. So we'll give them these. This is kind of what we're thinking, and let them go to town on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've already given you 90% of
Right.
what you need to do.
Yeah, I mean,
This is one the state will approve.
yeah,
Start here.
true. Yeah, don't go too far from it.
Yeah.
Good point. Okay, so we have
Okay,
a motion
and
in a second.
we'll get a motion in a second. Just take a vote. All in favor? It's unanimous.
Awesome.
And I think before we move on to the next thing, I did just want to say, because I pulled these numbers, West Bridgewater's Ajax solar field, I don't exactly know where that is.
It's on.
gotta be huge.
It's on. What is that? 37 coming down from Brockton, down by
Believe
that.
so.
It used to be a pitch and putt.
Yeah. Yes.
It's
Yeah,
not
that's the
37 there, but it's
But it's
what
the
is it? It's
Yeah.
on 37.
it's next to the turkey farm.
Yeah.
There was a driving range, is what it was.
Yeah, it was a driving range and a pitch and putt. No, yeah, you're right.
What are you
Driving.
talking
Yeah.
about on 138?
No, it's at 130.
It's
Just
106,
West-
I think.
Is this West Bridgewater?
West Bridgewater.
Yeah.
Okay, is this where Buncey's used to be?
I
You mean right at 28 there and
No,
106?
you take a right, head back towards Brockton. It's right on the Brockton line.
Right.
Do you know where like Brockton Country Club is?
Right on, okay, yes, that is on, not Brookside,
I just know it's near the baseball
Well,
field.
not
The
really.
old
Yeah.
Nico's restaurant
Right.
yeah,
is
yeah.
right there on the corner.
Okay.
That's
But it's not on Matfield Street, it's on 28?
It's on
on 28.
28.
28.
So-
27, yeah, 28.
That's a 4.1 megawatt solar facility.
Okay, I know it, yeah, right at the intersection
Yeah.
of Matfield and,
yeah,
that's huge.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
They've got a 25-year pilot agreement. It started at $37,000 a year. It declines over the 25 years, but averages $21,000 a year.
That's not much.
It's not much.
That's just solar.
That's just solar. Battery. So Carver has the biggest. They were the first. They have the highest per megawatt payment. They were 150 megawatts. Cranberry Point. It is 4% of the town's entire revenue. 1.6 million a year. But more recent ones, Chelsea, 1.5 million a year for something 250 megawatts, so significantly larger. It includes a host community agreement for workforce development. Those are 20-year. So there's a lot more money in the battery developments per acre and there's a lot more value in them right now.
People hate the solars
And
too.
the solar takes up a ton of space, and land is particularly valuable up here right now. So,
Yeah, so battery is probably more relevant right now.
battery's probably more relevant right now, and it feels like that's what's getting built more today.
Yeah.
All right, back to the agenda. So
Eventually, once we get this rolling, we want to look at the possibility of moving forward with possibly the DPW land for battery.
and I think we don't need the bylaws in place for that. If it's the town-owned land, we've controlled the zoning, right?
So we could start before the.
We can issue an RFP to solicit bids for solar and battery development there tomorrow if we wanted to.
Well, wouldn't we need the select board to?
Select board would need to move forward to do it, yeah. But I think the select board could potentially move on that soon.
It would definitely be worth exploring. I mean, worst
Yeah.
comes to worst, it's a dead end, but I mean, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, I think East Bridgewater's doing one now on a landfill that's a solar battery development. I think they got bids back. I don't know where it's landed.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to get ahead of this and be on the front side of if this is going to be the next big push, and not be behind it like we were with the marijuana stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
And no thought to putting it in behind the old rig, the in the contaminated area next to the railroad tracks,
And I don't.
knowing that's $500,000 to
Well, if the
clean it
town's
up.
taking that over, who knows? But we're moving forward with the taking. That'll probably take a year as we
Yeah, but
confirm
they probably,
no owners want to come and
because
pay the
that's
taxes.
brownfield, they probably have to do further.
Probably more
I mean,
remediation.
you're talking $600,000 just to get that 2.5 acre site.
Yeah,
If you're going to put stuff on areas that we're not cleaning up, you're probably going to have to do some more cleanup.
it's probably
Well,
more.
why do you need to do more remediation on for battery storage? I would think you need less because you do remediation for residential health.
Yeah, it's probably different levels of remediation for
Yeah,
a residential development than it would
this
be
is just
for.
tannery chemicals, right?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, the other thing too is a lot of that's wetlands down there too. There's not.
that's probably the
Right.
bigger
I'm just talking
restriction.
about the
is can you
2.5
get
acres.
Yeah.
can you construct an acre out of that contaminated land to put a pad and batteries?
But if we're again, I listened to that select board meeting today actually
Oh, the Hanson.
about getting the grants for cleanup down at the Regal building, and if we're talking about putting housing in there, we're well better positioned to get grants to clean it up than we would if we were going to put battery
I think
stuff
so, too.
down there because they want the housing.
Yeah.
That's why
We
they
can
do
change
it
our
all.
mind, though, right?
But I mean, that was the
like
big
the
concern
stadium.
of the select board
Town owns
was
it, yeah.
how do we know we're going to get these grants to clean this up? And I mean, he was in talking to us last meeting that if you put housing in there or it's MBTA,
Yeah.
it's a high profile housing spot for them. We're going to get grants. To
I would
clean it up.
answer that with your question with a question. Where's our state senator? And why isn't he sitting right there when you have that meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he doesn't go far from Brockton.
No, he does not. He never crosses the moat.
He comes to every what is it?
Every photo op.
Every photo op we
Yeah.
invite him to. Yeah.
Yeah.
He comes even if he's not invited.
All right. Before we move on from solar and battery, though, yeah. So we mentioned some town-owned land. The two parcels that came to my mind, I guess I'll get your opinions on it, were DPW building, obviously, and then we own a lot of land behind the middle school. It's somewhat wet, but it came up a little bit in the middle school building committee meetings. There's this like enormous parcel of land. Town-owned
So
land.
is that some of the
Buried
land
back
that
there.
Mr. Egan gave to us?
I think some of it is.
I do remember that. I have maps of all that somewhere in my.
Yeah.
I'll never find them in here though. But
That's a good point. I mean, we gave all the land on the curve and next to Auburndale's entrance there. That's all farmland that we gave to the town.
Yeah.
Sizable, right next to the high tension lines.
Yeah, I do think, yeah, if you get too close to Auburnville, it might be hard to get through the
Oh, yeah,
public hearings.
Yeah.
But,
well,
and then on private land, I don't know if there's any particular things, but I know I talked to John Hornstra about something else recently, and I know people have been talking to him about either solar or potentially batteries. So he's in a well-sited location for that.
But the cow's coming back.
With the cows coming back, so it probably have to be on
well,
the.
it can't be as bad as all
On the
those
bike barn
dumpsters
side.
across the street. So I mean, if you're going to put dumpsters across the street, you might as well.
Yeah. And then I think when I spoke to those folks from, I'm going to blank on which, New Leaf I think was the group. They said that, Aeroview of Whitman, they would look at the First Student Bus Depot as well as like one of the least offensive places you can put a stack of batteries.
I mean, you're still going to have issues.
Behind the plaza?
Yeah, behind Peapod and Johnny's or
That kind of butts a couple residential neighborhoods up there.
Yeah,
too, but,
yeah.
It would too, but it's what's existing is
How much?
Yeah.
How much does Hornstra own? All the way up to Bike Barn?
Yeah, because that sewer pump station is on his land. It's a town
Okay.
leases it.
I mean, there is a lot there.
Yeah. So if he segregated off that side,
Wasn't he growing stuff in
he
there?
was growing stuff there last year.
It wasn't corn, I think, wasn't
I
it?
think it was.
So how would something like that work? Would be
So
you lease the land from him and then
he'd lease the
file it with
land.
us?
he'd lease the land, and then we would have to negotiate a pilot with the people coming in so that they don't get taxed.
That would probably say he'd not only lease the land, but he wouldn't have to pay taxes on it.
But he's not paying. He's not paying much.
He's not paying
Yeah, I mean, he's a
much.
Chapter 61.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, true.
Okay, but yeah, I thought those were worth mentioning.
Are those power lines going right by it? No, is that the stream? Is there power lines going
I think
right?
he's got the power lines through there, and he's
Yeah.
also got the
Well, that's right near where the EB
Yeah, so
big development is right
this
here.
goes and then goes through Auburndville and then down to the power station here.
Okay.
Yeah.
he's also got the
Yeah,
transmission line for
across here.
Brockton's water coming from Silver Lake. That runs right through there.
This is where all that the new EB development's going in, right?
Yeah.
Next to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they've got sewage for all the way down here to the
Right.
to the Foxborough company now.
Is that connected? The sewer's all connected now?
The
or
line's in.
The line's in?
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
they
you go
probably
through
started to
there,
go
you
through.
can see it go where they put it. Yeah.
Customers.
And then this area across the street is where I said they went in front of conservation last month for across from.
It's light industrial, I think, is what they're.
Yeah, that's what they're
Looking
telling
at-
me, that they're going to propose something in there in industrial. So
Yeah, they're coming to us. I think that's also chapter land. They're coming to us for a right of first refusal
yeah,
for the town, and I don't think town's going to find $1 million, 1.6, I think.
Is that Hornstra land as well?
It's not owned by Hornstra. I don't
it's
know
actually
who it's,
owned by it was owned by the family.
Yeah, it was owned by the
Yeah.
Hogues.
That owned Piece of Meadows. You know.
Oh,
Have
so-
they said that's what they're proposing? That before they got to tell you before that what?
Yeah, they're telling us before we choose whether or not to exercise the right of first refusal.
But they'll tell you what they're proposing anyway.
At least enough details for us to
Yeah, I would say so.
say no.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the next select board meeting in a couple of weeks. And then before we set a meeting date, I did want to, I listed out the future topics. My thinking was that, when Old Colony Planning has something of a downtown proposal, that might make it a good chance for us to revisit a SWOT analysis, which might inform something we can present back to the select board of the town that would feed into hopefully a master plan if we get a grant to do that next year. So the thought being the deliverable from the Economic Development Committee would be at least a list of priorities for economic development and give a couple of areas that, these are the opportunities that we see in
top of
town.
the list right now.
Right.
In solar and
I think that's probably the most likely one, but yeah, we can go through all the options before revisiting. I think that, so the other things that I listed here are the stuff I want to revisit. 43D expedited permitting and just streamlining permitting in general, I think is an opportunity to, I don't know. I don't know so much. I haven't permitted so much in town that I know where the bottlenecks are, but I think that might be an interesting discussion. I don't know what to prepare for that one. And then building off of East Bridgewater's current boom, Route 18 as a commercial industrial center, I think is probably another area that we should be looking at. What can we do to incentivize up there, particularly on that side of town. Mm-hmm. And then town and properties, vacant properties would fall more along the lines of the Regal property that we're taking. And what are the things the town might own? We've now shut the door on the Park Ave.
yeah, that's good. But I mean, still,
What did the town decide on that?
We're going to hold it and hope for a community center in 10 years or so when we have the debt capacity to do it.
was there an actual vote to let the art students in there to? I just listened to it today, but I don't.
We amended it to be, let's seek an opportunity to raise that building now, but let the art students do something with the land in the interim. Or let the schools do something with the land that meets the
Right.
educational purpose in the interim. So after we knock the building down.
But if 20 years ago we took the Park Avenue School and we turned it into a community center, it would still be a community center today.
Yeah, it'd be paid off too.
Yeah, but I mean, we don't even know if we could do that though.
We don't, but
We probably can't.
all the
based,
uses-
based on what the descendant said in their
Hey.
meeting with Mary Beth, that she would not be happy if it wasn't something. Actually, she probably would be all right if it was a community center.
I think community center would meet the intent of the descendants we've been able to talk to. It might, I don't want to say it might not meet the deed, but if
Right.
we have a school use in there because it's not educational, it's school is what it says in the language.
Well, community center, and you teach classes too.
And so, I mean, all you need is the heirs to not challenge it really at this
Right.
point.
Yeah.
So,
Are there many heirs?
we've talked to one, I think.
Granddaughter, I think.
Granddaughter who taught in that
school.
building.
She was a kindergarten teacher at Park Ave. Who Justin had, if I remember.
Sean had her.
Oh, Sean.
Yeah.
All right. I couldn't tell who I was
Yeah.
listening, not watching.
She still lives in town.
I don't think she lives in town anymore, but she's still.
She's gotta be
Someone
up
reached
there.
out to her. Yeah.
She's got to be up there.
Yeah. So I think that's the roadmap I'm looking at, and then if we get a deliverable from Old Colony Planning in the June time frame, we may have to find something else to fill or skip a month or something. But I think that is what we'd be looking at. So, any suggestions, amendments, thoughts on it?
Thanks, good.
Okay. All right. So let's look at our next meeting date. Go on about a month to talk permitting. So
The 19th is probably school vacation week, I would think.
that would be school vacation week. I'll be around, but
I could do the 19th or the 26th. I don't think we want to do the 5th. I can't do the 12th.
okay.
Well, I like the idea of keeping it to the third
The 19th.
Thursday if we can,
The 19th?
That works for me.
because that way it's always in your head. You know.
Probably.
Yeah, third
where it's
Thursday.
gonna
Because
be.
I don't know about Brittany, but
Yeah, I don't know about Brittany, Heidi, or Adam, but we can confirm.
So
All right, third Thursday at 5:30.
19th.
And my takeaway is to send some template bylaws. I can send the slides too to the town administrator to get in a future select board meeting so they can send it around.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'll try and do a little digging on or educate myself a little more on the battery stuff on the development point of view. I'll see if I can talk to a couple people.
Yeah.
Maybe have some ideas of logistically power lines, distances, and so on.
Yeah, what makes an attractive site and
Yeah.
what can the town do to incentivize
Yep.
someone coming in?
Yep.
Yeah, because I think you're right. This is probably the least offensive way to start bringing a new revenue to the town. Mm-hmm. If we're looking around our options in the short term.
And it seems like there's a lot more money there than what you're going to get out of a solar array.
On the pilot agreements, for sure. Yeah. I don't know on the incentive side from the developer's perspective.
Yeah.
If there's...
Oh, because of the investment being so big.
Yeah.
Either the dollars work or they don't.
Yeah.
It's pretty much simple as that.
But with electric prices where they are right now, it's, even just arbitraging that night to day, there's got to be something there.
Yeah.
Do the storage people get a better rate at night than we do during the day?
So they negotiate their own power purchase agreements, and it probably has a time of use component.
my son lives in California, and they are told to charge their cars overnight, and they actually get charged a cheaper rate from like midnight on. So somehow the electric companies figure out.
National Grid will credit me if I charge my car between, I think it's 9 p.m. and like 2 p.m. the next day.
They
If I
credit
have,
you.
they'll give me an extra. It's like
How do they
one
know
and a half
you're
cents.
charging your car? Do you have a separate meter on your car charger?
No, my car is connected to Wi-Fi, and
Oh,
if I'm
so it
charging at
tells
home, it
Makes sense.
reports back to them.
Yeah.
And it's like whatever, 2 cents per kilowatt.
Yeah,
point
still.
0.2. Yeah, it's small, but it adds. I get a couple
Save
bucks
2
a
cents
month.
a gallon anytime
Yeah.
I kill it.
Right, yeah. Okay. Then,
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
all right. All in favor?
Rock and roll.
Thanks, everybody.